I want to introduce to you Patrick Griebel with Albuquerque Business Law. Good to see you, Pat.
Good to be here.
Good to have you on, and your colleague Jeremy Theoret. Jeremy, welcome. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being here this morning.
We're happy to be here. Thanks.
Now, what is this about the Billy the Kid case? You guys got involved in this, huh?
We got involved, and it's not the kind of case we normally would take on, but we got a call about, 2 years ago now that involving this case that had been going on for something like 4 years at that point, to get involved and represent the plaintiffs in an open records case, basically requesting records from a government agency. And in this case, it was involving some DNA records pertaining to this Billy the Kid. You may remember back in the 03-04 time frame, and they were talking about digging up Billy the Kid and his mom, and there was lawsuits. And so that was sort of the first wave of a faux conspiracy, if you will. And in the wake of that, our client, the Tobacco County News, along with a co-plaintiff, requested the DNA records of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department under a public records request. And it was denied, or they said they didn't have it, or the dog ate their homework, or what have you. So that went on for 3 or 4 years, and then they hired us kind of late in the game to maybe shake things up a little bit. So
this thing was going to court anyway, so it had to get in the legal system and be settled that way. Tobacco County News, that's over in Fort Sumner, right?
That's right. That's right.
And the dispute is over whether Billy the Kid was actually buried there?
Yes, right. In a nutshell, the dispute, and Jeremy can correct me if I mess this up, but as to whether or not it was in fact Billy the Kid that Pat Garrett shot.
Oh, okay.
Right, so there's this theory that it was somebody else and Billy the Kid got away. Oh. So these other folks in Texas and Arizona and whatnot claimed they were Billy the Kid. From their nursing homes or what have you.
Right. So where's the case at now? Yeah. I mean, is it still in court or is it done?
Well, it is still in court. There were 2 plaintiffs. One was Gail Cooper. She's an author, and we represented, as Patrick said, the Tobacco County News. And they were joined until we pretty much started the case, and then they went their separate ways, and we represented Tobacco County News, and Gail is now representing herself. So she still has claims in court. That's still pending. The attorneys have all been paid, and under the Inspection of Public Records Act, IPRA, one of the enforcement provisions is to have attorney fees to kind of encourage lawyers to take these cases and inspect records and help clients to get records from the government. So another aspect of that enforcement is damages up to $100 a day. So Ms. Cooper, or Dr. Cooper rather, is still pursuing that, and that should be resolved fairly quickly. But all the previous attorneys, and there were something like 7 or 8 by the time we came in, have all been paid off as part of the settlement.
You're going to law school and you come out and get involved in a case involving a dead outlaw from 120 years ago.
Well, it's pretty ironic. I mean, that's for sure. They opened a can of worms. I mean, when they tried to dig up Billy the Kid, I mean, obviously there's so much history, in New Mexico for that. And originally, I think people thought that would be good publicity for the state, but once they started realizing, well, if it's not really Billy there, what's that going to do to, the tourism down there? And it opened up a big can of worms, for sure.
It was a fun case. I mean, there's so much New Mexico history, and, it's a very serious matter, obviously, public records, and, we expect a certain level of transparency from our government, but at the same time, it was also just sort of this wacky historical case that was fun. I mean, it made it more fun to go to the office, not your average business litigation case. It's not just a barrel of monkeys, but
it was a fun case, and so many interesting characters involved. Dr. Henry Lee of the O.J. Simpson case fame had been the one that came to New Mexico to take some scrapings for DNA off of a workbench.
Yeah, the famous forensic scientist.
Exactly, to see if there was any Billy the Kid, DNA on there, and it turned out, I mean, it was inconclusive. And one of the things Lincoln County Sheriff was saying is we don't have any of these records, and the deputies who had worked on the case earlier were saying this was a private hobby, and they had a website where they were basically putting records up there. And so, as Patrick said, it was kind of like the dog ate my homework from the sheriff's perspective, and the deputies were thinking this is our private stuff, But once we were able to subpoena the records from a lab in Texas, where the DNA stuff had been sent from Henry Lee, you know, it had the case number all over it. So it really became obvious this was all part of the investigation.
This thing will be taught in law school in years to come, I think. Don't you think?